What if supervillains ruled the world? A world where the line between good and evil doesn't just blur, it vanishes completely. Imagine a society where those with powers, unchecked by morality or accountability, dominate everything. No noble heroes saving the day, just raw, unrelenting power dictating the rules. If you've seen The Boys, you already have an idea of how horrifying this scenario could get. But let's take it even further. What would life really be like if the worst of the worst took control? In The Boys, superheroes aren't the selfless saviors we're used to. They're corporate puppets, narcissistic egomaniacs who destroy as much as they save. Now imagine that ethos spread across every corner of the globe. Supervillains wouldn't just seize power, they'd commodify it. Entire countries would become battlegrounds for their egos. Cities would be rebranded as dystopian theme parks where terror is the main attraction. Homelander, the poster child for what happens when power corrupts absolutely, is a perfect example. In a world ruled by people like him, truth and justice would become meaningless. Homelander wouldn't just control governments, he'd control perception. Propaganda would flood the airwaves, turning public opinion into a weapon. Disagree with him? Well, you'd better disappear quietly before you're made an example of. But it wouldn't stop with Homelander. Villains like Lex Luthor or Magneto wouldn't tolerate competition. They'd carve the world into territories, each ruled by its own brand of tyranny. Luthor would turn his domain into a corporate dystopia where profit reigns supreme. Every aspect of life would be monetized, from drinking water to the very air you breathe. Meanwhile, Magneto would establish a brutal hierarchy, favoring mutants and eradicating anyone who stood in his way. The terrifying reality is that people might actually accept this new order. Why? Because fear is a powerful motivator. In The Boys, regular citizens are too scared to resist. That's exactly how villains would keep us in line. Public executions, mass surveillance, and unrelenting propaganda would ensure that dissent remains a distant memory. But let's not forget the corporate side of villainy. In a world like this, brands wouldn't just sell products, they'd sell survival. Imagine Homelander endorsing military-grade home security systems with his smug grin plastered on every billboard. The fine print? Side effects of failure may include complete annihilation. Companies like Vought International, the fictional megacorp in The Boys, wouldn't just dominate, they'd own us. Every paycheck, every resource, every scrap of freedom would funnel into their coffers. And while the rich might buy their way into safety, the rest of us would be left to fend for ourselves. Streets would turn into battlegrounds, not just between villains, but between ordinary people scrambling to survive in the chaos. Under Joker, every day would feel like a twisted game of Russian roulette, where survival depends on playing by his insane rules. Poison Ivy's reign would transform cities into wild, overgrown jungles where nature doesn't just reclaim the land, it fights back, and violently so. Even the villain's own domains wouldn't offer sanctuary. Homelander might obliterate an entire neighborhood on a whim just to remind everyone who's in charge. So, how would humanity push back? Could we even stand a chance? One possibility lies in technology. If villains embody the worst failures of human morality, then perhaps the solution isn't human at all. What if we fought back with artificial intelligence? Imagine an army of AI-powered robots, not designed to conquer, but to defend. Free from ego, greed, and fear, these machines could be our last hope against overwhelming power. But there's a catch. AI is only as good or as evil as the hands that create it. In a world already dominated by supervillains, who's to say they wouldn't bend this technology to their will? Picture Ultron-level intelligence, but under the control of Luthor or Doom. Instead of protectors, these machines could become tools of domination, spreading fear and destruction even faster than their creators. Still, there's hope. If humanity could develop AI in secret, away from villainous influence, it could level the playing field. These machines, armed with advanced weaponry, flawless strategy, and unwavering loyalty to human survival, could challenge even the most powerful supervillains. The battle between AI and supervillains would be unlike anything we've ever witnessed. Robots would bring precision, logic, and near indestructibility to the fight. But villains? They thrive on unpredictability. Joker's chaotic mind, Magneto's mastery over metals, and Homelander's raw, unchecked strength could create scenarios no algorithm could anticipate. The question isn't just whether AI could defeat them. but whether humanity is willing to unleash something so powerful to counter an enemy so dangerous. And even if AI wins, what would victory look like? Cities might be reduced to rubble, ecosystems obliterated, and the death toll unimaginable. Would humanity still recognize itself by the end of such a war? If this all sounds bleak, that's because it would be. A world ruled by supervillains would push humanity to its absolute limits. But here's the thing about villains. They always underestimate the human spirit. Time and again, ordinary people have risen against impossible odds. In The Boys, characters like Butcher and Huey remind us that even in the darkest times, we're capable of extraordinary resistance. Maybe, just maybe, humanity could endure. It wouldn't be easy, and it wouldn't be quick. But through resilience, ingenuity, and sheer determination, we might one day take back the world that villains stole from us. Until that day comes, remember this: knowledge is power. If you want to stay sharp for the fight ahead, or just explore more wild scenarios like this one, hit that subscribe button. It could be the first step towards saving the world.